New tonight, we're hearing from a friend and former co-worker of a woman who was murdered in Beaumont last week. LaQuanta Edwards was found stabbed to death near Tyrrell Park on Friday. Xavier Horace says he used to work with Edwards at George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston. Horace tells us she was a mother and her children were the most important thing in the world to her. He describes Edwards as someone who would do anything for her friend.
In early December 2025, the body of 33-year-old LaQuanta Quatez Edwards was found on the side of Frint Drive near Tyrrell Park in Beaumont, Texas, sparking a homicide investigation. Edwards, last seen alive the previous night, had suffered multiple stab wounds, according to a Beaumont police probable cause affidavit. Investigators traced her last known location to the 2400 block of Ashley Street, where her vehicle was found and forensic evidence later recovered. Through phone data and physical evidence, authorities identified a person of interest, leading to the arrest of 34-year-old Thaddeus McCray, who was charged with her murder and held on a $1.5 million bond.
In Southeast Texas, I'm Cameron Burchett. Cladra has the night off. We begin with breaking updates after a woman's body was found this morning. Beaumont police have identified a suspect. 34-year-old Thaddeus McCray is facing a murder charge. He surrendered to police today after he was found on Euclid Street. The case covered 3 scenes today: the 6500 block of Frint Road near Tyrrell Park, where 33-year-old LaQuanta Edwards' body was found; the 2300 block of Ashley Avenue, where her car was found; and a house down the block is where officers are still searching a home. Investigators say they found evidence a crime was committed there. That's where we find 12 News reporter Daniela Tabuada-Palau, who has the latest. Daniela.
McCray's criminal history and the circumstances of the evidence collected at multiple scenes have raised critical questions in both Beaumont and Houston, where Edwards' family and community members continue to seek answers as the case moves through the justice system. This is Facebook Crime. We deliver clear, factual, and up-to-date true crime stories. Subscribe and turn on notifications to stay informed on the latest cases and investigations. LaQuanta Quatez Edwards was a 33-year-old woman whose death triggered a homicide investigation in Southeast Texas in December 2025. She lived in Houston, Texas, and had established ties to her family and community. Edwards was the mother of 6 children and maintained regular contact with friends and relatives. Prior to her disappearance, she was in communication with at least one friend on the night before her body was discovered. The last known movements of Edwards before her death are central to the investigative timeline and were documented by law enforcement during the initial stages of the case. On the night before her body was found, Edwards made a phone call to a friend. This friend later contacted authorities after Edwards' communication indicated she needed assistance. Investigators traced her phone to the 2400 block of Ashley Street in Beaumont, Texas, late at night. A detailed location ping placed her device near 2454 Ashley Street, which later became a key location in the investigation. Officers responding to the area were initially unable to locate Edwards or her vehicle. The phone data provided a geographic anchor for the investigation and helped law enforcement narrow the timeline and areas of interest. Shortly before 7:50 a.m. on December 5, 2025, officers with the Beaumont Police Department were dispatched to the 6500 block of Frint Drive near Tyrrell Park following a report of a body along the side of the road. Upon arrival, they located Edwards' body. Officers observed that she had sustained multiple stab wounds and was deceased at the scene. This discovery initiated a full homicide investigation and prompted law enforcement to secure the area and document the scene in detail. After locating Edwards' body near Tyrrell Park, investigators returned to the Ashley Street location where her phone had last been pinged. At 2454 Ashley Street, officers observed blood on the rear driveway and steps consistent with a violent incident. This location was treated as a potential indoor crime scene. The area was secured and forensic teams documented, collected, and preserved evidence for analysis. Search warrants were obtained based on these findings, allowing investigators to process the property thoroughly. The coordination between outdoor and indoor scenes provided investigators with multiple points of reference for constructing a timeline and determining the sequence of events. Investigators identified the 34-year-old Thaddeus McCray as a person of interest because he was the tenant at the Ashley Street residence. Landlord records confirmed McCray's tenancy, establishing a direct connection to the scene where physical evidence was found. Witnesses, including McCray's girlfriend, reported that he had been missing the night of the incident and that he left work several hours before the body was discovered, contrary to his initial statements. Investigators placed him in the vicinity of Tyrrell Park during the time frame of Edwards' death. McCray's vehicle was located and he was taken into custody without incident by law enforcement. Records indicated that McCray was on probation at the time of the alleged offense, stemming from a previous conviction for aggravated assault in 2021. That prior case involved a knife and a threat to another individual, which became relevant during the investigation of the murder charge. A murder warrant was obtained for McCray's arrest. He surrendered to authorities and was transported to police headquarters for questioning and booking. McCray was formally charged with murder in connection with Edwards' death. A bond hearing set his bond at $1.5 million, higher than the initial amount due to factors including his probation status and the severity of the charges. He was ordered to remain within Jefferson County and wear a GPS monitor if he posted bond. McCray's criminal history and the circumstances of the evidence collected at multiple scenes have raised critical questions in both Beaumont and Houston, where Edwards' family and community members continue to seek answers as the case moves through the justice system. In Houston, Edwards' family and friends organized a public gathering at a local high school. Although these events did not directly influence the investigation, they were reported by media outlets and indicated community interest and engagement. Local authorities encouraged anyone with information about the case to come forward. The public response highlighted the regional impact of the incident across both Beaumont and Houston. Even after the arrest, several investigative questions remained. Authorities continued to seek additional evidence and witness statements to strengthen the case and confirm timelines. Forensic data from both locations continued to be analyzed. Law enforcement maintained public channels for tips and additional information, emphasizing the need for cooperation to resolve any remaining uncertainties surrounding Edwards' death. By the end of 2025, the case had progressed from the initial discovery of Edwards' body to the identification and arrest of Thaddeus McCray, who faced formal murder charges. Investigators had compiled evidence from multiple scenes, phone data, and witness statements to establish probable cause. McCray's prior criminal history and his connection to key pieces of evidence were central to the legal proceedings. The case continued to move through the Jefferson County judicial system, with pre-trial procedures and preparations for a potential trial underway. Thanks for watching. Did you find this case informative? If you want more true crime stories, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay informed on the latest cases and investigations.